Hey friends, it's Hope, and today I am here to do my May wrap-up. Now in May, I decided not to do like a really big TBR, and that actually played in my favor because this month I managed to read 13 books, which is totally crazy. I think it was because it was like a no pressure type of reading month, and I had a lot of time to read at the pool, which made it super easy. So yeah, without further ado, let's just go ahead and get started on the 13 books that I read this month. The first book that I read this month was Under the Never Sky by Veronica Rossi. I actually bought this book and the second book over Black Friday from a book outlet, so it was about time that I got to this read. And let me tell you, I really enjoyed it. I was a little bit confused at the beginning of this novel, but even though it took me a little bit to get into it, I really loved the characters. And I ended up rating this book a 4 out of 5 stars. And then after that, I listened to an audiobook, and that was Bad Feminist by Roxane Gay. I listened to this on my trip to Missouri and back to Louisiana, and I really did enjoy this audiobook. I had a few problems with it. I did do a non-spoiler book review, and I will go ahead and link all the reviews that I've done for any of the books that I talk about down below. But I ended up rating this book a 3 out of 5 stars. Then after listening to that audiobook, I did a read along with my friend Tanya, and I will link her book blog down below. She doesn't do videos, but she has a really awesome book blog, and we buddy read One Tiny Lie by K.A. Tucker. This is the second book in her 10 Tiny Breaths series, and I didn't enjoy this one as much as 10 Tiny Breaths, but I ended up rating this book a 3 out of 5 stars. And then I was still kind of on like this new adult kick, so naturally I picked up a Jalen book, which for those of you who don't know, Jalen is just Jennifer L. Armentrout, but she writes under the name Jalen for her new adult books. And I picked up the third book in the Wait For Me series, and that book was Stay With Me. And while this one also wasn't my favorite, I just felt like the story was a little bit unrealistic, and I did enjoy the characters, but just not as much as her other like first 2 books. I mean, Wait For You was like the OG of this book series, and so I ended up rating this book a 3 out of 5 stars, but I still really enjoy this series, and I know I'll continue to read it. And then I just continued on with that new adult genre, and I read my first Anna Guire book, and I read I Want It That Way. I adored the male character in this book and his son. Like, those 2 characters really made the book just amazing, but I wasn't completely blown away by the story, so I ended up rating this book a 3 out of 5 stars. So then after that book, I actually read a YA diverse novel, and that was None of the Above by I.W. Gregorio or something like that. I really liked the concept of this book. It had a very intriguing beginning, but it kind of got slow and it kind of just drug through the middle, and I really loved the ending. So it was like I had this love-hate relationship with the book, and I was kind of up and down through the whole novel, so I ended up rating this book a 3 out of 5 stars. But I think if you're looking for some YA diversity, then you would really enjoy this book. It is about a girl who found out she was intersex. Yeah, it was a pretty solid YA diverse book, but just not my favorite. And then after that, I really wanted to continue on with the Under the Never Sky trilogy, so I picked up Through the Evernight by Veronica Rossi, and I freaking adored this book. I mean, Perry and Aria, like, yes please. I really enjoyed this book so much more than the first, so naturally I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. After that, I picked up a book that I figured would probably make me sad and would make me cry, and that was My Heart and Other Black Holes by Jasmine Wenga. This book is a YA fiction book, and it follows a girl who has thought about committing suicide, and she decides to get into like this suicide pact and get a suicide partner, and pretty much like they're supposed to do it together. And throughout this newfound friendship, she kind of starts questioning, is her life really that bad enough to commit suicide? And it was actually a pretty touching story, and I was really rooting for her to overcome adversity. I'm not going to tell you if it was a happy ending or not, but just know that it was a pretty moving read, and I actually rated this a 4 out of 5 stars. After that, I picked up a book that I was super excited about because y'all know I love me some Lux, and I freaking love aliens, which is so crazy to like say that out loud. So I picked up Alienated by Melissa Landers, and I had such high hopes for this book. But for some reason, like I just couldn't get over so many things that were happening in this novel. And even like the blog post that our main character wrote, like I just had no interest in it. I will link my Goodreads review down below to kind of go more in depth about my general thoughts of this novel. But sadly, I only rated this book like a 2.5 out of 5 stars. I don't know if I'll read the second one. It's not intriguing to me at the moment, but I guess I can never say never. Okay, so then after reading Alienated and just not really being blown away by that, it was towards the end of the month. I still hadn't completed my TBR jar challenge, which was read a Colleen Hoover book. So I realized I only had a few days left to do that, and I kind of wanted to pull myself out of that reading slump that Alienated put me in. So I decided to pick me up a Colleen Hoover book. So I picked up Slammed and I read it within like 2 days, and it was marvelous. I loved it. It's not my all-time favorite Colleen Hoover book, but it was still so good. This is her debut novel, and you can definitely tell just like how much her writing has just really evolved and kind of changed. But I really enjoyed this book, and I rated it a 5 out of 5 stars. And immediately when I finished this book, I picked up the sequel, which was Point of Retreat, and I equally loved this book. I mean, Will Cooper is a dreamboat. So yes, guys, pick up Slammed if you haven't done so already. 5 out of 5 stars for both of these. Okay, so that brings us to the last 2 books that I just completely like inhale read these last 3 days. So those books that I'm talking about is Clipped Wings and Inked Armor by Helena Hunting. I read both of these books within, I think, a 3-day time span. So I read over 600 pages within the last 3 days, and guys, these books were so good. Not as great as Colleen Hoover's books, like so not as epic, but still one of those storylines that are very deep, and these characters are trying to heal their wounds. So characters were great, these side characters were wonderful, the storytelling was amazing, and it also helps that these covers are beautiful and they're not like super cheesy new adult books, because we all feel the pain with those cheesy new adult books. So I can appreciate these covers, and I also did an on-spoiler book review over this series, and I will go ahead and link that down below. All right, friends, well, that wraps it up for my May wrap up. 13 books, like I said, is a little crazy, but when you just feel like reading, you just feel like reading, and I'm excited to see what June holds. I would love to know if you guys have read any of these books and what you guys thought of them. But yeah, that pretty much just wraps it up for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have the most wonderful day, and I'm sure I will see you soon. Bye.